Hello, good day, and welcome to NCM 105 or Nutrition and Diet Therapy. Today, we will discuss about basic nutrition to be presented by Miss April Monsanto.
Good day once again. So we're on the first module of this semester. We're going to discuss about basic nutrition. So it has subtopics. First, introduction. Second, definition of terms. Third, basic concepts in nutrition and the basic tools of nutrition. So nutrition is a vital component to overall wellness and health. Diet affects energy, well-being, and many disease states. There is a connection between lifetime nutritional habits and the risk of many chronic diseases such as cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, cancer. Although balanced diet can prevent such conditions and improve energy levels and overall health and wellness. The basis of nutrition is food. So that is why most of the diseases, it all boils down by the food that we are eating. Let's define terms. What is nutrition? When you hear the word nutrition, what comes in your mind? Maybe some of you may thought about food. Okay, that's right. Nutrition is the study of food in relation to health and of individual, community, or society, and the process through which food is used to sustain life and growth. It has said here that food is used to sustain life and growth. So it is very much important for us to really consume food on our daily basis. It helps our body to work properly, as well as the plants or the living organisms. They also need food or the nutrients. So what are the functions of nutrition? First, it plays a vital role in preventing disease or illness. So nutrition is very much important in avoidance of diseases or illness. So it has been said that whatever you eat will reflect on your self or your how healthy your lifestyle. So the concern for adapting food patterns of individuals to their nutritional needs in the framework of their cultural, economic, and psychological situations and styles. So when you say cultural, for example, the Koreans, have you observed that most of their food must be in a colorful manner. So the presentation of their food has lots of colors because they do believe that the more colorful your food is, the more colorful your life will be. And another example is our Muslim brothers and sisters. In their culture, they must consume meat with only halal certification. With the economic, we must we have different eating patterns or eating lifestyle due to our social stability. Some of us may not be able to eat 3 times a day, but some but also some of us may have abundant of food at home because they are able to afford. And psychological situations. When you say psychological, like for example, the person is very much conscious on her weight or his weight, so she will believe that by not eating those high caloric food will help her maintain a good weight. The awareness of the need on specified disease states to modify nutritional factors for therapeutic purpose. So when we say therapeutic purpose, those are foods modified for certain diseases or illness. So what is food? So food is any substance, organic or inorganic, when ingested or eaten, nourishes the body by building and repairing tissues, supply heat and energy, and regulating bodily processes. So, have you heard during your elementary years about the three basic food groups, or the go, grow, and glow? So, it is classified into three. First, go foods. These are foods that supply heat and energy. So, for grow foods, these are bodybuilding foods and repairing tissues. While glow foods, it regulates bodily processes. And now, what is nutrient? So nutrient are chemical substance found in food which provides energy to build and repair tissues and regulate life processes. Classification of nutrients. So nutrients are classified into its function.
Nutrients may be body building, regulatory, and furnish energy.
It's also classified into its chemical properties.
Because nutrients are either organic or inorganic substances, are those carbon-containing compounds, with exemption of carbonate and cyanide, that is discussed during your biochemistry.
It's also classified into its essentiality.
Because nutrients has six major groups, in which has important physiological role in our body.
And last is its concentration.
Nutrients are termed as macronutrient and micronutrients. We will discuss this later on Module 2 about nutrients.
So we'll start to define terms related to nutrition. So first, digestion. So this may be familiar to you since you have already undergone your anatomy and physiology subject. So digestion is a mechanical and chemical breakdown of food into smaller components. So when you say absorption, it is a process where the nutrients from foods are absorbed by the body into the bloodstreams. We also have metabolism. It's a chemical process of transforming foods into other substance to sustain life. And the enzymes. So it's an organic catalyst that are protein in nature and are produced by living cells. A catalyst speeds up or slows down chemical reactions without itself undergoing change. Nutritional status or the nutriture is a condition of the body resulting from the utilization of essential nutrients. This is where we could assess patients or clients who is underweight, uh, overweight, severely underweight, and so on. So calorie. So this may be also familiar to you, especially those who are very much concerned on their caloric intake because they're very much conscious on their body weight. So calorie is a fuel potential in a food. So 1 calorie represents the amount of heat required to raise 1 liter of water 1 degree Celsius. So malnutrition is the condition of the body resulting from a lack of one or more essential nutrients or due to excessive nutrient supply. So when you say malnutrition, these are the underweight, nutritional status, the severely underweight, the stunted, severely stunted, overweight, and obese. So this next presentation is about a video that you need to watch regarding the digestive system.
Across the whole planet, humans eat on average between 1 and 2.7 kilograms of food a day. That's over 365 kilograms a year per person, and more than 28,800 kilograms over the course of a lifetime. And every last scrap makes its way through the digestive system. Comprised of 10 organs covering 9 meters and containing over 20 specialized cell types, this is one of the most diverse and complicated systems in the human body. Its parts continuously work in unison to fulfill a singular task, transforming the raw materials of your food into the nutrients and energy that keep you alive. Spanning the entire length of your torso, the digestive system has 4 main components. First, there's the gastrointestinal tract, a twisting channel that transports your food and has an internal surface area of between 30 and 40 square meters, enough to cover half a badminton court. Second, there's the pancreas, gallbladder, and liver, a trio of organs that break down food using an array of special juices. Third, the body's enzymes, hormones, nerves, and blood all work together to break down food, modulate the digestive process, and deliver its final products. Finally, there's the mesentery, a large stretch of tissue that supports and positions all your digestive organs in the abdomen, enabling them to do their jobs. The digestive process begins before food even hits your tongue. Anticipating a tasty morsel, glands in your mouth start to pump out saliva. We produce about 1.5 liters of this liquid each day. Once inside your mouth, chewing combines with the sloshing saliva to turn food into a moist lump called the bolus. Enzymes present in the saliva break down any starch. Then your food finds itself at the rim of a 25 centimeter long tube called the esophagus, down which it must plunge to reach the stomach. Nerves in the surrounding esophageal tissue sense the bolus's presence and trigger peristalsis, a series of defined muscular contractions. That propels the food into the stomach, where it's left at the mercy of the muscular stomach walls, which pound the bolus, breaking it into chunks. Hormones secreted by cells in the lining trigger the release of acids and enzyme-rich juices from the stomach wall that start to dissolve the food and break down its proteins. These hormones also alert the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder to produce digestive juices and transfer bile, a yellowish-green liquid that digests fat, in preparation for the next stage. After 3 hours inside the stomach, the once shapely bolus is now a frothy liquid called chyme, and it's ready to move into the small intestine. The liver sends bile to the gallbladder, which secretes it into the first portion of the small intestine, called the duodenum. Here, it dissolves the fats floating in the slurry of chyme so they can be easily digested by the pancreatic and intestinal juices that have leached onto the scene. These enzyme-rich juices break the fat molecules down into fatty acids and glycerol for easier absorption into the body. The enzymes also carry out the final deconstruction of proteins into amino acids and carbohydrates into glucose. This happens in the small intestine's lower regions, the jejunum and ileum, which are coated in millions of tiny projections called villi. These create a huge surface area to maximize molecule absorption and transference into the bloodstream. The blood takes them on the final leg of their journey to feed the body's organs and tissues. But it's not over quite yet. Leftover fiber, water, and dead cells sloughed off during digestion make it into the large intestine, also known as the colon. The body drains out most of the remaining fluid through the intestinal wall. What's left is a soft mass called stool. The colon squeezes this byproduct into a pouch called the rectum, where nerves sense it expanding and tell the body when it's time to expel the waste. The byproducts of digestion exit through the anus, and the food's long journey, typically lasting between 30 and 40 hours, is finally complete. TED-Ed is a nonprofit. If you value our work, please consider supporting it on Patreon.
So first, adequate nutrition is essential to good health. Good nutrition gives a normal weight, height, and body frame for his age, his good appetite and digestion, ability to concentrate, emotional stability, vitality and vigor, endurance to stresses, efficient work performance, resistance to infection, and wholesome personality all reflect to good health and proper nutrition. So it is really essential to have an adequate nutrition. So when you think of a food to eat, you must prepare foods in variety because there's no single food that can provide all the nutrients needed by the body. Nutrients in our body are in dynamic equilibrium. So when you say in dynamic equilibrium, they must be in metabolic balance. So a disturbance of one or more nutrient will affect each other. So that, for example, our electrolytes in the body or our minerals in the body, like the potassium, the sodium, the calcium, they must be in its equal balance so that the equilibrium inside our body can sustain enough nutrients that must be given for the whole system to work properly. Dietary intake and nutrient needs should be individualized. It was emphasized here that our dietary intake or nutrient needs are individualized or known as personalized nutrition because nutrition varies in age, physical activity, so based on your how active you are. So you must have a individualized dietary requirement, your body size, state of health. So every disease has a separate or modified therapeutic diet, physiological health, and pathological disorders. Human requirements for nutrients are known for some and have to be determined as yet for others. So that is why from time to time there are more studies needed to refine measurement techniques to determine minimum levels of nutrient needs, to assess nutriture, and to study the essentiality of a nutrient for a man. So here in the Philippines, we have the Department of Science and Technology Food and Nutrition Research Institute. So they are the ones studying or undergoing a research more on the nutrients and the food components. And an adequate diet is the foundation of good nutrition and should consist foods are our best sources of nutrients. So there are no other uh, resource for nutrients. It's only from the food that we are eating. So make sure that the food that you're eating is nutrient dense. Next, physiological functions of food are attributed to the roles of the nutrients. So in addition to its nutritional importance, psychological, emotional, social, cultural, aesthetic, and etc. So these are contributes to the role of nutrients in the body. For example, the peer pressure. If your friends are McDonald lovers, so you are forced to eat with them on a fast food setting just to belong to the group. So that is the example of social role in the nutrition. So you say cultural, as we have said earlier, for example, our Muslim brothers and sisters, so in their culture, they don't eat pork, so they only eat chicken and beef. Next, malnutrition is brought about by a faulty diet and or by conditioning factors like heredity. So these nutritional deficiencies often occur together. For example, there is a person who is underweight and also stunted. So we say underweight, his weight is not ideal for his age, as well as his height, not ideal for his age. Nutrition education, abundant food supply, and use of various resources are needed to improve nutritional status of population. So as a future nurse, it is one of your responsibility to educate the community, educate your clients on the importance of nutrition to help them improve their lifestyle, to help them improve their diet. The study of nutrition is interrelated with allied arts and sciences. That's why, being a nursing student, we also need to study nutrition and diet therapy. So it's also related with food science and technology, medical fields, behavioral sciences, chemistry, so specifically the biochemistry, and of course, biology. And now for our last topic under the basic nutrition is about basic tools in nutrition. First, we have the food guides. They carry standards. They carry guidelines and food guidelines. The food composition table, the food exchange list, and the nutritional labeling. We also have nutrient density. So first, the food guides. So we have this My Plate. So this My Plate is used in foreign countries. It is the current nutrition guide published in the United States Department of Agriculture, Center for Nutrition Policy and Promotion, a food circle depicting a plate setting with a plate and glass divided into 5 food groups. Replace the USDA's My Pyramid guide on June 2, 2011, ending in 19 years of USDA food pyramid diagrams. So if here in the Philippines we have our food guide pyramid, in the US they also have their My Pyramid. So here in the Philippines we also have our own version of Pinggang Pinoy. So what's this Pinggang Pinoy all about? So Pinggang Pinoy is a new, easy to understand food guide that uses a familiar food plate model to convey the right food group proportions on a per meal basis. So the plate in the picture uses the normal plate, the common plate in the family setting. It's 8 inches in diameter.
Hey guys! Ako nga pala si John. And ako si Jimboy. At siya si Bell, ang ating nutrition expert. Nandito kami para tulungan kayo maging healthy. Paano? Let's start our new hashtag health goals.
Guys, alam niyo ba kung ano ang balanced diet?
Balanced diet? Oo naman. It means dapat may sapat na servings at iba't ibang nutritious food ang ating kinakain. Mahalaga ito to make sure na we stay healthy lalo na maraming pinagdaraan ng changes ang ating katawan at our age.
Good job! To help us understand more, meet Pinggang Pinoy! Our friends from the Food and Nutrition Research Institute, o FNRI, call Pinggang Pinoy the healthy food plate. It is based on our daily nutrient allowance and explains the right food portions per meal to meet our energy and nutrient needs. Binubuo ito ng 3 basic food groups: adequate amount of water, plus a nutritious beverage. Naalala mo ba ano ang mga food groups?
Siyempre! Go, grow, at low foods.
That's right! Alam mo ba kung ano sa tatlo ang nagbibigay ng energy?
For energy-giving food, go for Go Foods.
They're the primary source of carbohydrates that give us energy.
Perfect ito para lagi tayo active sa sports at sa klase.
Guys, know your growth foods din. Bida dito ang protein, our building blocks of growth. Mahalaga ito para hindi kayo maiwan sa paglaki. Okay?
Pumili sa iba't ibang protein sources tulad ng meat, seafood, eggs, and other plant sources tulad ng munggo. Gusto nyo ba ang healthy at glowing na skin? Eat Glow Foods.
Glow foods are good sources of vitamins A, C, and E that protect our skin from damage. At may folic acid, selenium, copper, and zinc pa para maiiwas tayo sa sakit.
Halimbawa nito ay carrots, kamatis, saging, at mangga.
Simula pa lang yan ng pagiging healthy. Para kumpleto ng pinggang Pinoy, you also need to drink adequate amount of water in every meal. Maaaring sabayan ng nutritious beverage like milk or chocolate malt drink for more nutrients and energy.
Right! Our bodies need 12 or more glasses of water every day to keep us healthy.
Pinggang Pinoy is all about managing portions and choosing nutritious and varied options. Make sure na present lagi ang go, grow, at glow food sa ating pinggan. Drink enough water and don't forget a glass of nutritious beverage like milk or chocolate malt drink.
Ganun pala ang pagkahati dapat. O guys, para sa una nating hashtag health goal, siguraduhin may go, grow, at glow foods ang inyong pinggan. At uminom na ng tubig o masustansyang inumin. Panibagong hashtag health goal na naman sa next episode. See ya!
It's a compilation of nutrient allowance or requirements in specific quantities. So it is based on quantitative tools. So when you say quantitative, so the basis of it is through the percentage or grams based on the measurement. So first, recommended energy nutrient intake or the RENI. So it is a new standard replacing recommended dietary allowance. So before, you must have seen the RDA on the food packaging. So now we have the RENI. It is already replaced with RENI or the recommended energy nutrient intake in year 2002, emphasizing on recommending on the nutrients rather than food or diet. These tools serve as a guide for designing nutrition and health intervention towards an improvement of the health of the Filipinos. So next is the estimated average requirement or the EAR. So it's a daily nutrient intake value that is estimated to meet the requirement half of the healthy individuals in life stage and gender group. So it is commonly used in US and Canada. Here in the Philippines, we are using the recommended energy nutrient intake. So next dietary standard is the recommended dietary allowance, which are average daily dietary intakes levels sufficient to meet nutrient requirements of more than 97% of the healthy population in a stage of life and gender group. So this RDD is also commonly used in other foreign countries. We do also have the adequate intake or the AI. This is a recommended intake value based on observed or experimentally determined estimates of nutrient intake by a group of healthy people that are assumed to be adequate. So next dietary standard is the tolerable upper intake levels or the UL. So the highest level of daily nutrient intake that is likely to pose no risk or adverse health effects in most all individuals in the general population. So next basic tool in nutrition is dietary guidelines and food guidelines. So we have this 10 commandments. So by the way, dietary guidelines are strategies to promote appropriate diets and related health practices to achieve the goal of improving the nutritional condition. So here in the Philippines, we have these 10 commandments. So this was based on the 2012 nutritional guidelines for Filipinos. You must have been seeing or heard about Mangmoy in the advertisements. Uh, and he's the one modeling the Ten Commandments. So this Ten Commandments is a guide for us Filipinos to achieve a healthy lifestyle and eating patterns. So first, we'll will not explain each of the Ten Commandments, but we'll just go through some of it. So first, number one of the Ten Commandments, we have the kumain ng iba't ibang pagkain or eat a variety of foods every day to get the nutrients needed by the body. So it is emphasized here that we must eat various food every day to achieve the necessary nutrients for our body because there's no single food that can provide all the nutrients needed by our body. It was also emphasized here that we need to be physically active, make healthy food choices, manage stress, avoid alcoholic beverages, and do not smoke to help prevent lifestyle related non communicable diseases. So it is very rampant nowadays, the non-communicable diseases like the hypertension and diabetes. So that's why it's emphasized here that we should have a healthy lifestyle. So we need to have at least 30 to 1 hour of physical activity daily. So next is the food composition table or the FCT. So it contains subsets of nutrient data, descriptors, and photos of foods that were generated and compiled at the DOST FNRI's Food Composition Laboratory. So this is commonly used by us, the nutritionist dietitians, because it is in this table where we can see the composition of a specific food, or the nutrients and vitamins composed in the food. So the food exchange list. So this food exchange list is a classification or grouping of common foods in terms of equivalent amounts of carbohydrates, protein, fat, and calories. So the word exchange refers to the fact that each item on a particular list in the portion listed may be interchanged with any other foods item on the same list. An exchange can be explained as a substitution, choice, or serving. So this food exchange list will be used mostly in our laboratory activities. We will provide an ebook copy of this food exchange list that was already proposed in the e-library to include this food exchange list as resources for the NCM 105. So next is the nutritional labeling. So who among you here buying food while reading its nutrient contents? So this nutritional labeling is a primary means of communication between the producer or manufacturer and the consumer. So it is really a must for us to read labels so that we will know the manufacturing date, the manufacturer, the expiry date, most especially the expiry date. There are two components of nutritional labeling. First, the nutrient declaration or the nutrient content of food. So it is in standardized statement or listing. Second is the nutrition claim, the presentation which states or implies that a food has some particular nutritional proponents. For example, those items with Sangka Pinoy Steel, they are declaring that this specific food item has fortified with iron or fortified with vitamin A. So next is the nutrient density. So nutrient density is a measure of the nutrients a food provides compared to the calories it provides. So foods low in calories and high in nutrients are nutrient dense, while foods high in calories and low in nutrients are nutrient poor. So have you seen the picture here? The French fries is compared to the vegetable salad or the fruit and vegetable salad. So the fries has 340 calories compared to 440 calories. So which one is better? So the other side, the vegetable side, has more micronutrients, more fiber, so fuller for longer. No additives, no preservatives, and tasty. While on the other side, with the French fries, it has less micronutrients, hydrogenated vegetable oils used, additives and preservatives, and of course, it's tasty. We all love French fries. But if you really need to have a nutrient-dense food, nutrient-dense meal, much better to choose the high calories but more in nutrients, the vegetable salad. So that's all for our module one with the basic nutrition. So for any questions, clarifications, you may type them on the chat box or email your NCM 105 instructor, or if you feel to create a forum about the first module. So feel free to ask questions on the e-learning.
So the next module will be nutrients. We will be posting this later after this week. So thank you for listening and good day.